Well, good morning, my YouTube friends. It's Margaret again from M.E.s Orchids, and you might be wondering what I'm doing with this kind of sponge, but it isn't sponge. It's probably a body exfoliate, what you have in the shower. Can you see? It's got little ridges at the back. And Keith had this as part of a gift set. It was in June when it was his birthday. And I said to him, he wasn't going to use it, and I said to him, oh, don't throw that away, can you see? It's actually, I could actually use that as a hanger for an orchid. And you see, I see the potential in everything. It doesn't matter what it is. I can always look at it and think, oh, I could use that for one of the orchids. And I'm just going to sit down now. So what I was thinking this morning is, what could I actually attach in here? See, because there's quite a good cavity. Look at the cavity there. And whatever I put in, the roots can go in there, and I can still get some medium in there. I can get some sphagnum moss. And I just thought, oh, well, what can I put in there? And at first I thought about the little phalaenopsis, the Parisiae, because that would sit on the top here. If I just bring that over, you see that would just kind of sit on the top there. But I'm not sure whether the roots are big enough to actually go inside that. So I've decided just to have a look at this this Laelia lobata, and I've recently put it in this pot, and it's got some quite big roots. So I thought, well, I'm going to check this one out first. So if you just bear with me a minute, I'll just take this. Have I put a date in? Oh, I got this on the 24th of November 2016. And let's have a look. And the reason I can actually start and just pot it up now, if you look, because there's actually active roots there. And let's just have a look at it. It's never been what you call a robust orchid, this one hasn't. And some of those roots are slightly desiccated. See, there's nothing in that. That's dead. That part's dead to there. And so I'll get my scissors, just bear with me a minute. And let's cut this one off here. Hopefully I won't damage those new roots that are coming through. Can you see there? See, this one's alright till we get to there. And there's a little bit of green underneath. And let's have a look here. Let me just pick this little bit of bark out, and then we see these roots here. That one's no good because that's completely gone. What about this one? I don't think this here, that one isn't any good, and this one isn't any good, so, and that one isn't any good. Right. Okay, now let's have a look what we're looking at. See, that's a root, a secondary root. And even though that's not brilliant, it sent out the secondary root here. And these are fine, even though we've got a crack there. Can you see that crack? But we've got this new growth here. We've got another new growth there. And like I say, she's inactive root growth there. So, can I just move that media over there and show you what I mean about trying to get her roots inside so she sits on the top. And then what I might have to do then is to actually go and get some sphagnum moss and pack it with sphagnum moss, but I should have to remember that in the winter I can't actually keep it too wet. So let's just see where my fingers come out here. They come out somewhere. There's a little division in here, if it'll let me find it. So we're through there. Let's find it. It's all these little layers. There we go. It's got to be here. There we go. There. So my hand's through it now there. Can you see? So what I thought of doing is, now it hangs, it would hang that way. If I bring you up slightly. Bear with me a minute while I bring you up. There we are. See what I mean? And you see where I'm coming from? And then these new roots here, I could actually sit her so that if I can untangle these two here, I'll just check in a minute. There's just a piece of bark there. See, if I could untangle her there, then she could have roots through either side. So just bear with me a minute, please. Now this is where my trusty little tool comes in handy. And I've got this root here onto this piece of bark, which I'm wanting to release. And I've got to be careful because this piece of root is actually dry, so it's not as flexible as if it was wet. So that means you've got to dig under. There we go. Let's have a look now. There, so she's come apart now. And by doing that, I would have to find the top. That's the top. And then I'll be able to see what I mean. Bring those roots in there. I'm just going to now just get a little bit of sphagnum moss and I'll be back. Well, I'm back again, and excuse the noise, I'm on this seat and it makes a noise. Right, and there's the sphagnum moss I've got. That's the New Zealand sphagnum moss. I'll push that over there, and let's just have a look how this is going to hang. That's the most important thing, isn't it? Let's have a look. Now, can you see? Let me just bring that. I'll bring it there. Okay. I'm just trying to get you in camera. Okay, so we're going to have one root growing that way, and there's the top. There's. It's like when you've got a mount, you've got to first of all decide which way she's going to grow, which way does she sit the best. And I'm going to stand up so I make sure that you see everything. Okay, so which way does she sit the best? Bearing in mind it's going to hang that way, and she's got a new growth coming in there, but actually, let's have a look, she's going to actually hang better that way. And I've got a needle, and I've got some fishing line just to tie her in place. So let's just have a look. Okay, so there's our cavity, I just need to introduce some sphagnum moss in there with my fingers. There we go. Not too much, because I don't think it needs a lot of sphagnum moss. Just to give those roots just a little bit of a head start. And you see in there. There we go. And you see. Now let's just have a look. One root to come over one side. Are you still in focus there? I hope you are. I need one root to go in one side and one to go in the other. So let's see if they'll push through gently. I'm not going to attempt to take this bark off. Well, that one's just fell off anyway. And then, can you see what I'm doing now? As I release my fingers, that will enable this little curtain to come round and hopefully cover that root. Let's have a look if I can, without damaging that root. And then what I'll have to do afterwards, I'll have to stitch that together. So if I gently lift my finger out to that side, and we'll do the same for this side now. Let's bring that gently in, and you see, just tuck it inside if I can. Gently does it. It is a little bit brittle because I say I've not watered this. Just see if I can push her in a little bit more. Let's just gently do it. There we go. There we go. Let's just introduce a little bit more moss just inside that opening there. And then bring that round and let's just have a look. Right, okay. See, there's the moss, and I'm wanting to bring this, tuck that further in, bring this round, tuck it all in there. I'll do the same here. Okay, let's bring it round. Tuck it in. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stitch it. So you bear with me a minute while I just get some of this fishing line. Just bear with me a minute. Right, now I've got the fishing line, and I might have to do it in 2 halves. And so there's that opening there, and because I've got a knot on the bottom here, what I don't want to do is have that knot too visible, so I'm going to go in from the bottom here, which is the top. There we go, just like over sewing really, for those who remember sewing. And I mean, sorry about that, I'm just not on the camera. It doesn't have to be, you know, perfect sewing. It's just a case of bringing these edges together so that moss doesn't actually fall out. And then what I'll do is go underneath as I get a little bit higher. Of course, you see, unlike when you're working with cotton, fishing line has a mind of its own. Right, now we're getting near the top here, near where this root is. So I don't really, what I'm trying not to do is trap these roots too much. She'll have to go more, can you see that? More gently around that root. Because eventually when these roots become more active and they grow, I don't want this fishing line to actually rip into the I'm going to take this under here now. I don't want it to rip into that root. And you might think, well, why are you going back this way? And the reason I'm going back that way is I want it to just take in that little piece of a rhizome there. Let's have a look now. Let's pull these together. And then I want, can you see how I'm just got to be careful because there's that active root there. And I don't want to bruise that root, but I just want to secure that little bit of a rhizome there. There we go, so I've done that side now, can you see? And let's see, I want to bring it back again, back underneath. Let's go back underneath and see if I can get out here without coming to, the thing is I don't want to come too far out. There we go. Let's have a look. And then it's just a case of just trying to make it more secure without actually strangling these new roots. So I'm going to have to be careful. It's not an easy job. Let me have a look how she's going to stand now. Now she's going to, now this is the part where I just need to bring a little bit of thread underneath. There we go. I'm not wanting to, I say, strangle these, sorry, you probably won't be able to see what I'm doing now, these roots, but I just need it tight enough, sorry, to keep this sphagnum moss inside. And then let's just have a look. I can bring that round now. Just tie this off. See, I can bring it down underneath here. You see what I've done now? Can you see how tight? And I can tie that off around the back. And let me show you what I mean. Let's just have a look if I can pick you up and just show you what I mean. And hopefully, bear with me a minute. Right, I'll just pick you up and then you'll see what I'm seeing. There she is. And you see, it's going to be sat in the middle. That's the piece that I'm going to finish off in a minute. That is secure. I may well, while I'm off camera, just put another little bit round here just to make it that little bit more secure. And then these new roots can come out and they can search out, they can go in between these folds here. And that's a new growth. This one's, for some reason, I've got another cutting of this Laelia and that's just starting to show a little bit of this discoloration, and and it's, I don't know what it is. I've checked at one point, I've cut some of the rhizome off there to check if it's had fusarium, and there's no fusarium, so I don't know what it is. It may be just some kind of bacterial infection, but it hasn't gone any worse. And anyway, so like I say, I never like to throw anything away. I always see the possibility, even in this shower sponge, because when it's watered, there will be a level of water under there, so I can water it from the top here, and it can sit in there and absorb the water, and then I can tip it over onto one side, and it'll hang there in the orchid room. So just bear with me a second. I'll just put you on hold.